Ever wondered what makes a Sigma male tick? Or more precisely, what makes them ticked off? Buckle up, folks, because we're about to dive into the mind of society's most intriguing lone wolves. You might think you know what irritates these independent souls, but trust me, it's not what you'd expect. In a world that often glorifies the alpha male and sympathizes with the beta, the Sigma stands apart, silently judging and frequently misunderstood. But here's the kicker. What if I told you that understanding what Sigma men hate could be the key to unlocking your own potential? That's right. Whether you're a Sigma yourself or just Sigma curious, this video from the official Sigma Male channel is about to blow your mind. 1. Superficiality and fake personas. Sigma men, known for their independent and authentic nature, absolutely can't stand superficiality. They're like bloodhounds when it comes to sniffing out fake personas and shallow interactions. These self-reliant individuals value depth and substance in every aspect of their lives, from relationships to conversations. They'd rather spend an evening alone with a good book than waste time on meaningless small talk at a crowded party. For a Sigma male, nothing's more grating than someone who puts on airs or pretends to be something they're not. They've got a built-in BS detector that's always on high alert. When they encounter people who are all flash and no substance, it's like nails on a chalkboard to them. They're drawn to authenticity, like moths to a flame, and they can spot a genuine soul from a mile away. Sigma men believe that life's too short for superficial nonsense. They're not interested in impressing others with material possessions or social status. Instead, they focus on personal growth, meaningful experiences, and genuine connections. They'd rather have one deep, thought-provoking conversation than 100 shallow exchanges. These lone wolves of society have a knack for seeing through the smoke and mirrors of social facades. They're not fooled by Instagram filters or carefully curated online personas. In a world that often feels like a constant performance, Sigma men are the ones backstage, rolling their eyes at the theatrics and yearning for something real. 2. Social conformity and peer pressure. Sigma men have a fierce, independent streak that runs deep, and they absolutely loathe being told to fit in. They're like cats in a world of sheep, always marching to the beat of their own drum. These free spirits view social conformity as a cage, and they'd rather eat their own shoe than cave to peer pressure. For a Sigma male, the idea of compromising their values or beliefs just to please others is downright repulsive. They've got a backbone made of steel when it comes to standing up for what they believe in, whether it's resisting the latest fashion trends or refusing to participate in office politics. They're not afraid to go against the grain. These lone wolves find strength in their solitude and see no need to follow the herd. They're the ones who'll order a salad at a steakhouse without batting an eye, or wear a tuxedo to a casual party just because they feel like it. Their mantra: I'd rather be hated for who I am than loved for who I'm not. Sigma men view societal expectations as mere suggestions, not rules. They're the ones who'll quit a high-paying job to pursue their passion or choose to remain single in a world obsessed with coupling up. For them, true freedom lies in the ability to make choices based on their own convictions, not society's playbook. 3. Unnecessary drama and gossip. Sigma men have about as much patience for drama as a cat has for water. They'd rather watch paint dry than get caught up in petty squabbles or idle gossip. These cool-headed individuals view unnecessary drama as a colossal waste of time and energy, preferring to focus on more productive pursuits. For a Sigma male, engaging in or even listening to gossip is like voluntarily subjecting themselves to nails on a chalkboard. They've got better things to do than participate in the rumor mill or stir up trouble. When drama unfolds around them, they're the ones silently observing from the sidelines, shaking their heads in disbelief. These lone wolves have a knack for staying above the fray. They're not interested in taking sides or getting involved in other people's business. If you try to drag a Sigma man into your personal soap opera, don't be surprised if they suddenly become as elusive as a shadow at midnight. Sigma men believe that life's too short to waste on trivial conflicts. They'd rather channel their energy into personal growth, pursuing their passions, or solving real problems. In a world that often thrives on drama, they're the calm in the storm, quietly navigating their own path without getting caught in the whirlwind of unnecessary chaos. 4. Neediness and clinginess. Sigma men have a tolerance for neediness that's about as high as a limbo bar set for ants. They value their independence like a dragon hoards gold, and clingy behavior sets off their internal alarm bells faster than you can say personal space. These self-reliant individuals see neediness as a form of emotional vampirism, sucking the life out of their cherished autonomy. For a Sigma male, constant demands for attention or reassurance are as appealing as nails on a chalkboard. They've got their own lives to lead and goals to pursue, and they expect the same from others. If you're looking for someone to text every 5 minutes or need constant validation, you might as well be speaking Klingon to a Sigma man. These lone wolves appreciate relationships that enhance their lives without suffocating them. They're drawn to partners and friends who are secure enough to give them space and understand their need for solitude. A clingy person in a Sigma's life is like a ball and chain on their freedom-loving soul. Sigma men believe that true connections are built on mutual respect and independence. They'd rather spend quality time with someone who has their own passions and pursuits than deal with someone who can't function without their constant presence. In the Sigma's world, neediness is the fastest way to find yourself on the Do Not Disturb list. 5. Shallow small talk and inane conversations. Sigma men have about as much interest in shallow small talk as a fish has in riding a bicycle. They'd rather endure a root canal than engage in mindless chatter about the weather or what someone had for lunch. These deep thinkers crave intellectual stimulation and meaningful dialogue, like plants crave sunlight. For a Sigma male, forced participation in inane conversations is akin to a form of mental torture. They've got minds brimming with ideas, theories and questions about the universe, and discussing the latest celebrity gossip feels like a colossal waste of their mental energy. If you want to see a Sigma's eyes glaze over, just start talking about your neighbor's new lawnmower. These lone wolves are always on the hunt for substantial, thought-provoking exchanges. They're the ones who'll steer a conversation from small talk to philosophy faster than you can say, "Nice weather we're having." When faced with superficial chatter, they're more likely to retreat into their own thoughts than feign interest. Sigma men believe that life's too short for conversations that don't challenge or enlighten. They'd rather sit in comfortable silence than fill the air with meaningless words. In a world of constant chatter, they're the ones seeking depth, substance, and intellectual connection in every interaction. 6. Emotional manipulation and mind games. Sigma men have about as much tolerance for emotional manipulation as a cat has for a cold bath. They can spot mind games from a mile away and will shut them down faster than you can say reverse psychology. These straightforward individuals value honesty and directness, viewing manipulation as a sign of weakness and insecurity. For a Sigma male, attempts at emotional manipulation are like waving a red flag in front of a bull. They've got no patience for guilt trips, passive-aggressive behavior, or subtle attempts to control their actions. If you try to play mind games with a Sigma, don't be surprised if they call you out on it, or simply walk away without a backward glance. These lone wolves prefer clear, open communication over subtle hints and hidden agendas. They're not interested in decoding mixed signals or reading between the lines. A Sigma man would rather have an uncomfortable truth laid bare than deal with a beautifully wrapped lie. Sigma men believe that healthy relationships, whether personal or professional, are built on mutual respect and straightforward communication. They'd rather deal with conflict head-on than navigate a minefield of unspoken expectations and emotional traps. In the Sigma's world, honesty isn't just the best policy, it's the only policy. 7. Excessive noise and chaos. Sigma men have about as much love for excessive noise and chaos as a librarian has for a rock concert in the reading room. They crave peace and order, like plants crave sunlight, finding their zen in quiet, controlled environments. These introspective souls view constant commotion as a direct assault on their sanity and productivity. For a Sigma male, being thrust into a chaotic situation is like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube while riding a roller coaster. They've got minds that thrive on focus and clarity, and excessive noise or disorder throws a wrench in their mental gears. If you want to see a Sigma twitch, just invite them to a crowded, noisy party with no quiet corners to retreat to. These lone wolves are masters of creating their own bubbles of tranquility amidst the storm. They're the ones who always have noise-cancelling headphones handy, or who can find the one quiet cafe in a bustling city. When faced with unavoidable chaos, they're more likely to retreat inward than to try and shout above the din. Sigma men believe that true productivity and self-reflection happen in moments of peace. They'd rather spend an evening in solitude with their thoughts than navigate a crowded, noisy social event. In a world that often feels like it's cranked up to 11, they're the ones constantly searching for the volume control. 8. Disrespect for personal boundaries. Sigma men have about as much tolerance for boundary crossers as a porcupine has for close huggers. They guard their personal space and privacy with the ferocity of a mama bear protecting her cubs. These independent souls view their boundaries as sacred, and any unsolicited intrusion is met with swift and decisive action. For a Sigma male, having their boundaries disrespected is like nails on a chalkboard to their very soul. They've carefully constructed their comfort zones and expect others to respect the invisible "do not disturb" sign they carry. If you're the type to overshare, pry into their affairs, or show up unannounced, prepare for a chilly reception colder than a polar bear's toenails. These lone wolves are masters of the art of polite distance. They're the ones who'll gracefully sidestep invasive questions or skillfully redirect conversations that veer into uncomfortable territory. When faced with persistent boundary pushers, they're more likely to retreat entirely than to compromise their personal limits. Sigma men believe that mutual respect for boundaries is the foundation of any healthy interaction. They'd rather maintain a smaller circle of friends who understand and respect their need for space than deal with a crowd of boundary-oblivious acquaintances. In the Sigma's world, good fences don't just make good neighbors, they make for good relationships of all kinds. 9. Inauthentic praise and flattery. Sigma men have about as much appetite for insincere compliments as a vegetarian has for a steak. They can smell fake flattery from a mile away and find it as appealing as week-old sushi. These genuine souls value honesty above all else and view excessive, unearned praise as a form of manipulation. For a Sigma male, being on the receiving end of inauthentic praise is like listening to nails on a chalkboard. They've got finely tuned BS detectors and can spot a disingenuous compliment faster than you can say, "You look great in that outfit." If you're laying it on thick with a Sigma, don't be surprised if they call your bluff or simply walk away, rolling their eyes. These lone wolves prefer brutal honesty to sugar-coated lies. They're the ones who'll appreciate a thoughtful critique more than empty praise. When faced with flattery that doesn't ring true, they're more likely to question the motives behind it than to bask in the false glow of undeserved accolades. Sigma men believe that genuine recognition should be earned and given sparingly. They'd rather receive one heartfelt compliment than 1,000 hollow flatteries. In a world often drowning in fake positivity and insincere praise, they're the ones constantly searching for authenticity in every interaction. 10. Blind obedience to authority. Sigma men have about as much respect for unquestioning obedience as a cat has for following orders. They view blind adherence to authority with the same disdain a gourmet chef would have for a microwave dinner. These free-thinking individuals believe in questioning everything and making decisions based on their own logic and values. For a Sigma male, Being told to follow rules without understanding the reasoning behind them is like nails on a chalkboard to their independent spirit. They've got minds of their own and aren't afraid to challenge the status quo when it doesn't make sense. If you expect a Sigma to fall in line just because that's how it's always been done, prepare for a rebellious response that would make James Dean proud. These lone wolves are natural skeptics, always looking beneath the surface of any command or societal expectation. They're the ones who'll ask why in a room full of people nodding along. When faced with arbitrary rules or unjustified authority, they're more likely to forge their own path than to blindly follow the herd. Sigma men believe that true wisdom comes from questioning, understanding, and then deciding for oneself. They'd rather be ostracized for standing up for their principles than be accepted for mindless conformity. In a world that often rewards those who simply fall in line, they're the ones constantly pushing boundaries and challenging the norm. 11. Inefficiency and time wasting. Sigma men have about as much patience for inefficiency as a cheetah has for slow-moving prey. They view time as their most precious resource and treat it with the reverence a miser gives to his last gold coin. These productivity-driven individuals see time wasting as a cardinal sin, one that grates on their nerves like sandpaper on sunburn. For a Sigma male, being caught in a situation of blatant inefficiency is like being stuck in quicksand, frustrating and potentially disastrous. They've got a mental clock ticking away at all times, constantly evaluating if their current activity is the best use of their precious minutes. If you're the type to ramble in meetings or take 3 hours to complete a 30-minute task, don't be surprised if a Sigma suddenly goes MIA. These lone wolves are masters of optimization, always looking for ways to streamline processes and maximize output. They're the ones who'll find a shortcut through a crowded mall or develop a system to cut their morning routine in half. When faced with inefficient systems or time-wasting activities, they're more likely to overhaul the entire process than to simply grin and bear it. Sigma men believe that life's too short to waste on unnecessary delays or convoluted procedures. They'd rather spend their time pursuing their goals or engaging in meaningful activities than getting bogged down in red tape or pointless bureaucracy. In a world that often moves at a snail's pace, they're the ones constantly pushing for progress and efficiency. 12. Lack of personal growth and stagnation. Sigma men have about as much tolerance for personal stagnation as a shark has for standing still. They view a lack of growth and self-improvement with the same horror a fitness enthusiast would feel upon gaining 50 pounds overnight. These self-driven individuals see continuous learning and evolution as essential to their very existence. For a Sigma male, the idea of remaining unchanged year after year is like nails on a chalkboard to their ambitious spirit. They've got an insatiable hunger for knowledge and new experiences that drives them forward relentlessly. If you're content with the status quo and have no plans for personal development, don't be surprised if a Sigma finds your company as stimulating as watching paint dry. These lone wolves are perpetual students of life, always seeking out new challenges and opportunities for growth. They're the ones who'll pick up a new skill just for the heck of it, or travel to a foreign country to broaden their perspectives. When faced with the choice between comfort and growth, they'll choose growth every time, even if it means stepping way outside their comfort zone. Sigma men believe that life is a journey of constant improvement and self-discovery. They'd rather face the discomfort of change than the slow death of stagnation. In a world that often encourages complacency, they're the ones constantly pushing their own boundaries and inspiring others to do the same. So there you have it, folks, the 12 things that make Sigma men's skin crawl. But here's the million-dollar question. How many of these pet peeves do you share? Are you nodding along thinking, yep, that's me? Or are you scratching your head in confusion? Here's the thing, whether you're a full-fledged Sigma or just someone who values authenticity and personal growth, there's a lot to learn from this mindset. So ask yourself, Are you living life on your own terms? Are you pushing back against the things that truly irritate you? Or are you just going with the flow, letting life's annoyances chip away at your spirit? It's time to take a stand, to embrace your inner Sigma, and to start living a life that's true to you. And hey, if you want to keep diving deeper into the Sigma male mindset, why not hit that subscribe button on the official Sigma Male channel? Trust me, it's the best decision you'll make today, unless, of course, you enjoy wasting time on shallow small talk and mindless conformity. But we know you're better than that, don't we? So go ahead, smash that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. Your journey to understanding the Sigma male, and perhaps becoming one yourself, starts right here, right now. After all, in a world full of sheep, why not be the lone wolf?